What is up, everybody? Welcome to the NBA Showdown. I don't know, crunch time, I guess. Yeah, crunch time. Game 4, 3-0 Boston. Could be the end of the NBA season tonight. We don't know. We'll find out in a few hours. But for this show, we're back with Squirrel Patrol joining me here, man, to break down this game. Squirrel, how's it going, man?
Good. And I said before the first one of these that we did, I said it could be a short series. It looks like it might be. But I feel a little bit like better or maybe less confident in Boston in this game than in any of the other games. It can be tough to win 4 games in a row, especially this one being on the road. Maybe they're starting to get a little bit overconfident. Starting to think about what the rings are going to look like. So yeah, but I think Boston's a better team here. So that's what I'm sticking with.
Nobody's ever come back from 3-0 in the NBA, so it's looking good for Boston in those ring fitting. But I will say this much. If you're looking for any kind of silver hope for the Mavericks, number one is the last couple of playoffs. Boston has had these streaks where they've lost 3 games in a row. They got down 3-0 to Miami last year. They clawed their way back, but they still lost the series. But they dropped 3 straight there. The year before that, they lost 3 straight to Golden State. I think it was the year before that. It was one of those last year. So they've gone on losing streaks in a series before. So you never know. And I don't know, man. There's a lot. I'm with you though. It's a weird game because I don't think I've ever seen the general public and all the figureheads on TV absolutely team up on a guy like they did on Luka after Game 3, right? And call him out, just obliterate him in the media, man. For a championship team that's there, and they probably shouldn't have been, and they're called him out. So will that light a fire under him? Do you think that's going to motivate? Like if there's anything that's going to motivate him, that's got to do something, right?
The problem is he's probably motivated all the time, right?
I don't know. I would say most people, I would say, yes, Squirrel, you're in the final, but Luka is different. I think there's still a piece of immaturity in him that really doesn't grasp the situation, to be honest with you.
Could be, yeah. It could be youth, right? Like you tend to think, oh, I'm going to be back here all the time. And he doesn't maybe understand yet how difficult it is. But I don't know. There is a narrative, right? That like this could be a Luka explosion game where he just goes berserk, has 60-point triple-double, and just like carries Dallas to a huge win. I don't know. I feel he's already doing so much for this team that I don't know that it's him really. I agree that the national media was like with the Windhorst thing or whatever. We just like unloaded on him. I don't know. It's true. Like it's not like Luke has been a defensive specialist his whole life, right? Or his whole career. That's not really what he does. And I don't know. I don't think he's getting enough support from the rest. Luke is not the problem in my mind. I just think I think Dallas kind of overachieved to get to this point. And so I think to maybe your point, I mean, Luka did really well to get the team here. I just think Boston's going to steamroll them, and they have so far.
Yeah, they're the better team out of these 2 teams, that's for sure. I would say Luka, man, I would counter you on Luka and saying, offensively, yeah, but defensively, it's tough to say this with his offensive numbers. He might be a net negative in this series so far. I don't know if you saw these numbers, man, but the top 3 in a series, in the playoff series in the last 10 years, the top 3 getting blown by your offensive, man. The top 3 in any series all belong to Luka this year. He is maybe it's part injury. He is getting blown by every possession, and it's rough. So they don't need him to score 60. They just need him to play a little defense. And I don't know if he can, because maybe it is the injury, or maybe I don't know, but we'll see. I don't know. I'm just thinking, digging deep for narratives. Maybe that is it. Maybe actually decides to, contend a little more on defense instead of just getting blown by or something. I don't know. And then you're right. Maybe Boston is looking at it like, maybe if they get down by 15 early in this game, like they did Game 3, maybe it's like, no, it's okay. We'll win this thing in Boston, and that'll be even better. We don't even, we got to go back to Boston anyway. So there's so many narratives going on here. You just never know. It may be the narrative where Dallas is like, shit, there's no way we're coming back. I don't want to go back to Boston. That's just, that's the thing. So I don't know. But we're here, guys. Get those questions in because we kind of want to answer questions as opposed to just regurgitating the same stuff for you that we did on the survey and everything else. So if you got questions, get them in and we'll answer them. And we got that. We're here for, I don't know, another 15, 20 minutes or so. We'll leave ourselves time to get out of here and make any last minute adjustments. Speaking of adjustments, Porzingis available, but only expected to play in very specific instances. I would imagine that means absolutely not at all, right, Squirrel?
I would guess so, right? Like I think I don't see why if he's that hurt where it's the NBA finals and he's encased in glass, right? Like break in case of emergency only or something like that. I would imagine that up 3-0, it would have to be a big emergency before they rolled him out there. Because this guy struggled with injuries his entire career. And I haven't even read the specifics of this injury other than like it's an unusual injury or something like that. I would imagine you put him on ice until you at least lose a game. And that, so I think you would, I don't know what would have to happen for him to get into this game if he's really that hurt.
Yeah, this game, I can't imagine, man. No matter what the circumstances, you're up 3-0 and you're going to go back to Boston after this regardless. I don't know why you would even – they don't need him in the series probably. They only got to finish out one more game. And I just don't think you want to – I don't know what the injury is like you said, but I don't think you want to risk anything that might eat into next year too if the worst case scenario happens. So this game, I can't imagine he plays. So what did we see in game 3 without him that was different? I would say that Lively became an actual player in this game. Like he didn't have to contend with Porzingis, the three-point shooting, having to be out there on the perimeter for that. The rim protection, he was getting his lobs a little bit easier, getting a little bit more room to work with. Lively is the one that stood out. What did you see in game 3 without Porzingis that maybe we can use tonight?
Yeah, I think that was it. And looking at both projections and the player props, like Derek Lively has taken a big boost over Daniel Gafford here, and so I think that's something that you've got to be aware of going into this game 4 for DFS purposes. It looks like it's Derek Lively's show rather than Daniel Gafford. We've kind of expected that to happen before, and it hasn't. And it's gone back, and Gafford has a big game, and then suddenly they're splitting the time pretty evenly again. But I think it's probably Derek Lively time now for Dallas. I also think, I wrote this in the expert survey that do you expect any changes, or how does the series being 3-0 impact your DFS lineups or something like that? And I do think Dallas has got to try anything here, everything and everything. There's no game 5 unless you win this game. So I would say that you could probably play some like Tim Hardaway Jr., some Dante Exum. We don't know what the rotations are going to be like. Maybe you want to go with Jaden Hardy. Like maybe they have to try going back to Jaden Hardy. Who knows? But they've got to do something here. So I think it's okay to like mix and match some of these Dallas bench players and just try to hit on the guy that might get a little bit more playing time.
Yeah. So speaking of Hardaway, yeah, I don't know that it's going to be him. I don't know if these coaches are big box score believers, but boy, he was like -19 in his very few minutes there in game 3, and the minutes without him were what, plus 26, something like that. So yeah, I don't know if Hardaway's the answer there, man. Maybe if they're looking at that kind of stuff, then they know not to play him. But there's other guys. Maybe you try something different in your row. I don't know what you would do, really, honestly, man. Maybe try Lively and Gafford on the court at the same time. I don't know. You're throwing whatever you can at the wall, I guess, at this point, down 3-0. Guys, get some questions in. I'm going to start answering them in a minute. But before I do answer them, I do want to do a quick little promo here for RG Premium. There's never been a better time to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium with NBA, PGA, which has Showdown right now for the major, NHL, which has maybe one game left in the season 2, but Showdown, MMA, big time. We got some big cards coming up, MLB, and even WNBA, which is on the rise. You got an option for whatever level you're looking for. Get 6-month premium and combo subscription for $469.99. That's a savings of $250 over the other previous plan. You can get the first month RG premium for $40 for just a limited time, a 3-day pass for $20, all this stuff. I say this to say that everything's good here. We put a lot of time and effort into this, and it's over the years, and it's improved dramatically from my point of view. And I've been at RotoGrinders from almost the very beginning. But I'll say that the way we handle niche sports, if you want to call it WNBA and those kind of things, MMA, if you want to call all that kind of stuff niche, like we got the best projections, I think, in my opinion, of all those niche sports out there. And we've caught up in NBA, MLB, and NFL. We're competing with the ones that used to be runaway winners and the smaller sports winners. So, if you want to do that, if you want to get premium, you can basically just get that, use projections, lineup HQ, and you can build competitive lineups over and over again. So it's good stuff right there. But get it. We got a little deal going on for you. Get it right now during the summer for the niche sports, and then you'll have it for NFL, man, when we get ready. All right, let's answer some questions. First off, Carolina guy, big FanDuel guy. GPP, your favorite utility for GPPs on FanDuel. What you got?
So my FanDuel lineups look a little bit different than they normally would. Like normally I don't drop that far down. I guess like to answer the question, I would say like Al Horford, but I'll just note that I'm getting a lot more of the guys like Dante Exum type, like minimum price guys I don't normally get. So I think overall the answer to that is like probably either Horford or Lively. And I think you want to be aware just in terms of projections on a lot of the written content that like FanDuel is a little bit different with the 3 points for blocks and steals. So I think going with a guy like Al Horford, Derek Lively, somebody that can get some blocks, or even like a Drew Holiday can get 3 steals, and suddenly that's a big boost. Or maybe he gets 5, and then he's starts to be like a slate breaker. But yeah, I think you want to be aware of that difference in scoring between FanDuel and DraftKings.
Yeah, I've put in the survey. I'm on Luka all the way at the top position for that second spot on FanDuel. I like spinning up to Tatum or Brown. Pick one, and then leave the other one out of your lineup. For that next spot, I still don't want to go too cheap. I still want to stick with a Boston guard, Drew or Derek White, maybe Kyrie if you can squeeze him in. So that means that I have to go cheap at utility. So I'm looking at a guy like Peyton Pritchard or something along those lines, saving some money. Like Squirrel said, almost min salary. They get you down there and get you the more expensive guys. Also, I think there's an angle here. I put it in the survey, and I really, this may come down to a last-second shot, but I really think that one of these teams, and I can't even tell you which one of these teams blows the other one out tonight for whatever reason. If Boston's looking ahead to the rings and they just get caught off guard, if Dallas is really angry about the narratives that are floating around, or it switches up and Dallas sees, we're done, we're cooked. Our leader is Luka, and Luka is not really too enthused, so we're done. And they get blown out. Somebody's getting blown out, so I think you could play some bench guys here. Not too much. You don't want to go crazy, but who's going to play the last 5 minutes of a blowout? Because that's what it would be. It would be the last 5 minutes, and more than likely, just like game one, it would be the team that's getting blown out that throws in the towel first. The other team would still try to seal it by keeping the starters in for a couple extra minutes. So whoever you think gets blown out, those guys might get a little bit extra run. So maybe Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, something like some garbage duty guys. But yeah, that's to answer your question. DKGPP, this is from our buddy Butthole Jenkins. DKGPP, Brown, Tatum, or Doncic in the captain, or somebody else?
That's a tough one. I'd probably say Luka, but I don't love the idea of spending up. I like the mid-range for the captain spot on DraftKings a lot more. I think somebody's going to go berserk and just like, oh yeah, you got to have him as captain. Then it's going to be Luka. I'd prefer to go to somebody like PJ Washington, Drew Holiday, like Derek White, just because the salary multiplier on Luka is so severe.
Yeah, I've locked in Luka in the captain spot all 3 games, and 2 of those games he was oh so close to getting there. This last one he wasn't even close, couldn't even hit the utility. The first 2 he hit the utility in the optimal, so he was close in the first 2. Things so I can't bail on it now. I'm pot committed, like that's it. If I bail on him now and then he comes out there and puts up the 60-point triple double, I would absolutely kick myself, man. So gotta roll him out for one more game and hope he does it. But yeah, we'll see how that plays. Tonight is a Big Al game. You never know. I've been thinking about Big Al because he's the one guy I think about on this team when I think about a championship. Like this guy is almost he's almost done with his career. In fact, some of us would say he was washed and he was completely done in those last years with like OKC and things like that. Like wherever he came from before ball, I forget where was he on OKC on the roster and never got to suit up or something like that.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, the Thunder have rotated these veterans through.
Yeah,
like Chris Paul.
I think he was completely, basically out of the league almost, and Boston brought him back from the dead, and man, he revived himself, and he's still playing strong right now. But he's on the last leg, and he wants that championship so bad, and he's like, you've seen it the last few years with Boston, how close they've been and how disappointed. So I think about him and a chance to finish it off. Will he just go berserk tonight? Maybe. He might, man. So it might be the Big Al game. You might be onto something, Mr. Joe Noob. A 2-for-2 question for you here. Josh Green and Jason Tatum or Derek Jones and Jaylen Brown?
Josh Green and Jason Tatum or, sorry, what was the other combination?
Jaylen Brown and Derek Jones.
I think I got to go with the Jaylen Brown one. I've been kind of tuning the horn of Jason Tatum throughout the series, and it really hasn't worked. I think you got to go with Jaylen Brown and Jones.
Yeah, we'll see that. That ain't happening, J3. Mavs in 6 is not happening, but let's see. Exum, high risk, high reward. Yes, absolutely. I took Lively over 17.5 points, rebounds, assists. Seems fair enough, right? Lively over props, right?
I think so. I mean, there's a pretty big difference between our projections and the player props of Daniel Gafford as well. So you maybe want to take some Gafford overs.
Yeah.
Or maybe the player props are right.
Thoughts on Derek Jones? DK has him at 6.5 points plus 131. Ooh, he's been a no-show on offense this series. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know if I love that. He has not. He's hit that mark once in the series, and he didn't hit it in the last game of the last series. It seems like it should hit. And then it's a good bet because it's plus money. I don't know though. I might stay away from that one.
Yeah, it's a tough one, man. Question from Joey Rock. I faded Kyrie in game 3, and that did not work. Is that a viable strategy tonight as the highest owned non-Luka Mav? So fading Kyrie, no go in game 3. What do you think about it tonight? What do you think Kyrie's outlooks are tonight?
I think you can fade him. I'm not a big Kyrie believer in general. I think if somebody's going to go crazy, I think it's going to be Luka. And so I'd much rather go with like Luka and a value player than Kyrie and somebody in the mid range. Just because Kyrie just doesn't seem to have it.
Yeah, it's a tough matchup for him. Any love at all for Kyrie in the captain spot on FanDuel? You mean the MVP spot on FanDuel? Oh man, I would say this. I'll let Squirrel answer too, but boy, it's such a tricky game on FanDuel, and that you just, there's no salary multiplier, but there's a point multiplier. You just don't want to get caught with, there's no reason to fade the really good players that are super high projected in those top spots. So can Kyrie end up being the highest scoring fantasy player in this game? He could, but man, he has a lot of competition to step over and climb over. So I don't know if I'd do that, but what do you think about Kyrie as a way of getting different on FanDuel in the MVP spot?
It's logically sound that he's a player that could have an outlier performance, and I don't mind it. I don't believe it's going to happen. It's not what I would do, but there's logic there, right? That maybe it's. I said, the other thing I said before game 1 or during our show and for the game 1 show was that I thought there would be at least one Kyrie game in this series. And I don't know if that's going to, if there's going to be one, it's got to be tonight. Yeah, I know it's logically sound. I think if you believe in Kyrie, then absolutely. He is a guy that could just explode and be the guy you had to have in the MVP spot.
Yeah. Eric Lip says Luka needs a beer, and The Mavs are 0-3. They have not won a game since Finley took that beer away from Luka post game after the Western Conference Finals. So Luka hurt more than he's being revealed. I wouldn't doubt it. He's been banged up the whole playoffs, and he's probably really feeling it now. So that sucks. But my single entry lineup with Luka at captain has $0 left. I'll probably be splitting with half the field. I would agree with that. If you have $0 left and you have Luka at captain, you're probably splitting with a whole bunch of people. Devin, that's just the way that looks. Let's see. I feel like it's going to be a Luka show tonight, or the series is over. Yeah, that's true. Question: who's your favorite non-Luka captain, Squirrel?
I would. It's tough. There's a collection of guys that I like, and it's really like the guys in the mid range. I think it's Derek White, Drew Holiday, Al Horford. On the Dallas side, like PJ Washington and Derek Lapton.
Yeah. DK GPPs from Butthole. You want Luka and Sammy Hauser, or you want Kyrie and PJ Washington? So you get the scrub star, or you get two pretty darn good players.
I could probably go Luka and Sam Hauser. I like Sam Hauser like more than Peyton Pritchard in this series, and I don't like Kyrie. Like I do like PJ Washington. Like Luka just has that. I really think that if somebody's going to go nuts, I think it's going to be Luka.
Yeah. Let me ask you this here, since we're just, we got about, we'll get out of here in about 5 minutes, guys. So if you got some more questions, get them in. We'll talk a little bit more, but we're going to stay too late here. Got a question for you, just totally off the beaten path here. But let's say somehow Denver wins one game down the stretch and they get the number 1 seed. They don't have to ever face Minnesota in the playoffs. If somehow Minnesota gets bumped off before they get to Denver, and it's Denver-Boston, this big matchup we thought was going to happen, that all the best balls were centered around, playoff best balls. What do you think would happen in that scenario?
It's tough. Boston has looked so good. It's tempting to say that because Denver lost. It's tempting to say that Boston would have won. I think, and the series isn't over. Maybe Dallas makes this a series. But I think Denver would have been more competitive, but I still think Boston would have won.
It's so much based on matchups in the NBA now. It used to be, man, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, there was the saying, and it always held true, which was in a 7-game series in the NBA, barring some injuries happening, in a 7-game series, the best team always wins. The best teams always win the championship, basically, in the NBA. It was the one thing this sport had over all the other sports, was a lack of variance in the playoffs. There's such parity in the league now, and there's all so much matchup based that I have no idea. We could have been sitting here with another matchup and saying, oh my God, Boston, they have no answer for Jokic in the middle. They have no answer, and Boston's going to get swept. Just who knows, man? It's crazy how that works out, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I think Minnesota could have been competitive as well, but
I worry about Minnesota having just not been able to score on Boston. Like, I think they could have been competitive defensively, but if you can't score, then it will get exposed here at some point. Ooh, they saying the Braves won the MLB slate already. I haven't checked the scores. They must be going off, and I don't have any Braves on DraftKings, so I might be cooked. But I don't know, guys. We got time for a couple more questions if you got them in. If not, we'll figure it out. So talk to me here. How do you think this game turns out? If we're looking at, I think, what is it, man? I didn't check it for a while. I think the Mavs, and they were hovering around -1, +1 all day long. I don't know what the latest. What do you think as far as money line, a spread tonight, a total? You have any leans on any of that stuff? And do you think the series ends tonight if you had to firmly put your money on it?
It's a tough call because I've been predicting Boston sweep, so it's hard not to be like, well, let's take the hedge and say that Dallas is going to win. I feel a little bit less confident in Boston this game than the other games, but I still like them to win.
Yeah, I don't know how it's going to play out. It's going to be interesting. I don't know if we're going to have another show on Monday or if this is going to be a wrap, but I don't know, man. It's going to be a good game. We'll see how it plays out. I actually think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think it's going to be a good game, but we'll see. You have any anything. Let's see here. Braves have 7 runs in the 3rd inning. Yeah. I don't know. I have to check it out. Maybe I've seen teams get up by that. The bullpen comes in and starts shutting them down. And all of a sudden, you look at the end of the game, they're stuck on 7, and they weren't quite the winning, roster you thought they were going to be. So we'll see how it plays out. But you got anything for the people here as we get ready to sign off here?
No, just it's been a good NBA season. We might see you guys again for an NBA show this season, but there's a good chance we won't. So yeah, take care, everybody. If you're just an NBA viewer, and we'll see you in October.
Yeah, we don't know if we're gonna have another show. The Celtics and Mavs will determine that. We'll see how it plays out. But it's been fun throughout these whole playoffs, doing all these shows, the short shows, these crunch times, surveys. I actually was more entertained by the short playoff run than I was the entire regular season combined. Like, I played more DFS probably. Not to say I didn't play DFS during the regular season. I did. But not like the playoffs. The playoffs were a lot better, I think. So it's been fun. Don't know if we'll have another game, but I hope we do, because it's fun, man. It's entertaining. So we appreciate you tuning in, guys. Even if we don't, we appreciate you tuning in all year long. If we have another game, we'll see you on Monday, me and Squirrel. If not, it's been a blast. And until next time, that was Squirrel Patrol. I'm your host, Head Chopper. We're signing off. See you later.